Okay. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining, and thank you for that. I'm super pumped to be here today. So thanks for tuning in, and to share a little bit kind of about personal branding. And so I know we've got like an hour allocated for this, but like it'll be quicker. There is, I promise you, we'll kind of have you up and on your way to enjoy some nice weather, because who knows how long it's going to last. So really the reality is that personal branding is really pretty simple. It's sort of something that is really inherent, and it's not overly involved. So as Cecile mentioned, my name is Matt Aubin, and I guess you could say I'm somewhat of a creative entrepreneur with kind of a huge passion for people, community, and entrepreneurship. I'm the founder and president of Keen Creative, a full-service marketing agency, the president of Keen Group, a partner at North Elm Construction, the president of Black Housens, and a partner in a few other ventures as well, just to kind of name a few. So maybe with it sort of having been the bulk of my career, maybe I'll kind of focus a bit more on Keen. So at Keen, we're just absolutely a super talented, skilled team of creative people in various disciplines of I'll say marketing, strategy, design, programming, social content, photography, video, etc. So we've just sort of celebrated our 17th year in business, which is crazy because I still sort of feel like I'm 20, even though I'm maybe a few years past that. But yeah, we have two offices, one in Edmonton, and we have a small operation in Dallas, Texas as well. And so all of that helps us to service our clients across North America. We're huge on team, culture, great work, and client partnerships. And so there you go. So even though I've had this amazing sort of pleasure of growing Keen and our businesses and ideas and services and team and clients and culture over the past 17 years, it's really not where my career path and my journey started. And so very similar to like lots of you, my professional career started at Nait. So as a super scared 17-year-old, I started at Nait. And not really knowing like what the hell I wanted to do, but figured that sort of like every business is a business, and so maybe I should take business. And so yeah, that's what I did. I took business, and ultimately graduating with my marketing diploma at the age of 19. Shout out to all you marketing peeps out there. And so from there, I went on to work in sort of various design and sort of sales and marketing related jobs, really trying to find out kind of like probably what more I was passionate about, which ultimately sort of led me back to Nait again and into the photography program. And so after completing like a ton of night courses and I'll say, sort of spending what I think in technical terms is called like a shit ton of money on photo gear, I started my entrepreneurial journey. So as a photographer, and I guess kind of marketer and maybe designer and sort of secretary, janitor, dishwasher, accountant, plumber, like whatever was required. I guess I was the business owner at what's now Keen, but at the time was a company called Pure Vision. And so I'll come back to that kind of as we go along, but yeah, so follow me through. So at 24, I left my secure and really good paying job, and I guess what I would describe to be as like an image and branding expert. And I can kind of reflect back and think like, what the F was I thinking? Like how was I an expert at image and branding at 24? And how was I going to make a difference for clients and really make an impact for them? And I know we're in a virtual room, but I'll do like virtual show of hands here. Like, who in the room thinks that they are a branding and image expert? So I know we can't see everybody, but okay. So not a lot. And I can say bullshit. And what I came to realize for myself, and what I'm going to convince everybody here today of, is that we're all branding experts. And you don't need some old ass guy like me up here to tell you, because you already know. And yeah, so whether you realize from an early age, we all really understand branding and how it works, how we associate with it, with the importance of it and the impact that it can have. So if you kind of think back to maybe you as a kid, there were likely some things that you had, or maybe things that you wanted, that were some form of brand or celebrity influence, and maybe that was like they influenced your life, and so maybe that was like Kanye's Yeezys, or maybe it was like Justin Bieber's amazing hair, or Kylie Jenner's lips, or like me, maybe you want to be like the Karate Kid or Top Gun, or maybe it was like Marty McFly or John Wick, or maybe John McClane, for that matter. And so things that we often want to associate with, brands are based on those things. So we make assumptions based on them all the time. So we determine how they fit in with us and our lives, and we often build our own personal brands based on lots of these things. So branding is this sort of natural ability that we kind of just simply have. And for example, from like the second I walked in, or virtually kind of came into the room, every single one of you, and you did, assessed me. So good or bad, based on my look, posture, my dress, my voice, my hair, or like obvious lack thereof. In your head, you had sort of a conversation, and maybe it went a little something like this. It was sort of like, wow, like this is the guy that I came to hear speak, and he's kind of a lot older than I anticipated. I thought he'd be like way cooler than he is, or I thought he'd be in better shape, or what the hell's with that shirt, or like I don't know, that jacket, or like, but you all know, you were like, those boots are tight though, or something to that effect anyway. So the reality is that every single aspect of us, our personalities, our dress, our hair, posture, body movement, and any interaction in any element is an element of branding. It's personal branding, one of the most like inherent traits that we have as humans. How we act and engage, how we show up, how we talk, how we inflect, this is all part of our personal brands. And what we believe in, what we stand up for, what we strive to say, says just absolutely a ton about us. Is our tone with people? Are we friendly? Are we blunt? Are we a hello? Are we like a hey? Are we approachable or guarded? Are we a very firm, solid handshake or a super solid high five? That question is like the easiest answer, because we all know the right answer is high fives. High fives all day. So just to further illustrate my point, we're going to look at kind of like, some slides of a few people here. So let's review. Okay, so let's think about this guy. Is this guy, I don't know, what do we think? Is he a skateboarder maybe? Or maybe not? There we go. There we're transitioning. Here we go. Skateboarder? No, I don't know. What about this guy? Are we thinking he's a doctor, or I don't know, what do we think? Dentist? Mechanic? I don't know. We can make some assumptions based on this. How about this lady here? Maybe she's the mechanic. I don't know. What about, look at this guy. What are we thinking? Douchebag. For sure, that's probably it. So anyway, we all made assumptions based on the things that we saw. We sort of identified the people that were quote unquote like athletic or book smart, reserved, outgoing, etc. So this is personal branding, and it's like absolute simplest form. So although it looks like looks are a portion of personal branding, they're not the only aspect of it. So personal brands are things that we project. They are more than just simply clothing and style. They're every single action, interaction, reaction, voice, tone, social postings. Be careful about that one, and that. So similar to sort of branding businesses, every aspect, visual, nonverbal, or verbal communication sort of speaks volumes to us. And I'll say as a quick stat, just to sort of illustrate my point, it's estimated that 70 to 93% of all communication is actually nonverbal. And that's pretty high, y'all. Like that is like higher than any percentage. 70 to 93 is higher than any percentage that I ever got on any Nait project ever. So there you go. So now that I've convinced all of you that you're branding experts, you're probably wondering, okay, well, like, all right, well, what is this good for? How is having a personal brand going to benefit me? And for me, like I really like to sort of relate things back to my own experience. So rather than simply provide some like unqualified advice, I'll talk to my experience. So personal branding for me has had a significant impact on my life. I'll say it is like one of the biggest benefits, and I'd say it's helped guide my career and overall personal happiness. So it's the foundation of me. It is, my personal brand has shaped what I do as a profession, how I do it, who I do it for, the businesses that I've started and grown, my career goals, and probably like realistically, my life overall. So I've had the awesome luxury of building businesses that are a reflection of my own personal brand and core values. They are an extension of and a huge part of me. Who I am and my brand has helped to grow businesses, people, community, and create, I think, a meaningful, positive impact. And not only, I'll say, like on our local community, but dare I say, the world. I mean, maybe that's a lot, but I'll take it. So, okay, so let's get into a few more key points when it comes to personal branding. So here we go. So be authentic. So my brand, like yours, should be authentic. It's authentically me. It's what makes me happy, confident, engaged, and driven. I don't have to pretend to be someone else. I'm not someone that is like polished or snooty or quiet or detailed. Every day I get to be unapologetically, authentically me. This is who I am. I'm passionate, I'm driven, I'm flippin' ridiculous, I am creative, I swear a shit ton, but I absolutely, truly care. So I care about all that I do and the impact that I create and leave in this world. The authentic me has shaped not only me, but business, our approach, our team, our culture. And if we jump back like way early on, I sort of mentioned that Keen wasn't always Keen. It used to be called Pure Vision. And well, that name, I think we had Pure Vision for like 13 years was the name of us, and it really didn't like resonate with me. I didn't know how I related to it or associated with it. And so a few years ago, I realized that maybe Pure Vision really wasn't me, and it wasn't our team anymore. So we changed it. We absolutely changed our name to something that 100% resonates with me. I think our team, our core values, and that's Keen. Our company, we're passionate, driven, caring, dedicated, and fun. Our team is 100% made up of wicked, talented Keeners. So, if I reflect on what my personal brand is, it's 100% that. So, next key point is be consistent. Like inconsistency is okay and it's cool when you're 12, but you're not trying to find yourself. But right now as an adult, you need to be consistent with your brand. It's the same consistent authenticity to myself, my personal brand, my passions, and have been a huge part of building a positive reputation for not only me, but I'll say for Keene as a whole. So my true brand has really built trust, it's built credibility with the people around me. It's helped me to grow business, it's set expectations for people, and I've worked really hard to be consistent at it. So when I walk into a room, and I mean, like anyone's gonna have shitty days. We're all gonna have days where we don't feel like, amazing, but largely people know what they're gonna get. So when you're authentic to you, your personal brand, people can like feel it. They can like sense it. It's ultimately they can relate to it. It is, you building this true, and staying true to your brand is a major relationship builder. It sets expectations for people and ultimately builds trust and expertise. Okay, so we're gonna look at a few other examples here. So, okay, if you were looking to buy, I'm gonna say like a mountain bike from one of these two, like which would you rather purchase from? Or conversely, if you were looking like for financial advice, who would you rather speak to? So let's be serious here, like, come on. Okay, what about these people here? So, who would you be maybe, more likely to accept medical advice from, and maybe who would you rather mix you up like some amazing, ridiculous baller cocktail at a bar? So I think that, I feel like it's pretty evident. Okay, and this is where it gets tough, and I'm not gonna lie. I think that like the bike guy and like bar guy are like they're like the same guy, So I'd struggle on this one to maybe like who could I trust to give me sage beard advice? It'd be a tough one. It'd be a tough call. So we trust in these people based on elements of their personal brands. It's absolutely it's not rocket science. It is super plain and simple. Personal brands create and build credible trust. For companies like Keene, it's a big component of how we hire is based around our applicant's personal brand. So if you're looking to get hired, think about this and take this in. So how do you relate to us, our culture, etc.? What's the tone of your resume sound like? What does it say about you? What does your social media say about you? In an interview, do I get a sense that, you're truthful or authentic? For me, it's the biggest thing that I'm looking for, because I can always train for someone around skill, but, changing someone, what someone's maybe passionate about or what, their drivers are or inherent attributes are is like absolutely impossible. I can't do that. So be you. So your unique personal brand is often related to your talents, and in sort of being true to that puts you in your sweet spot of work. For myself, I care extremely little about how to like improve someone's quote unquote perceived weaknesses. I care about putting people in situations where their talents thrive, where they are amazing, and oftentimes that relates to you and your personal brand. So I think, I would encourage you to find a company or industry that's a fit for you, for your brand, for your goals, and ultimately for your sweet spot. I'd say, separate yourself from the pack. You are unique. The combination of your traits and talents, likes, they set you apart from others. Capitalize on that. So, with all that said, really, what's your personal brand saying about you? I encourage you to be authentic, consistent, and to be all in on you. There you go. I told you, there's like no lie. This is going to be super quick. Look at that. We're not even half an hour deep into this. But that's it, you guys. It's a really simple thing. Personal branding, there's not a ton to it. It's really all about you. And so there you go. So thanks very much. Thanks for hosting and having me. I'm open to any questions that anybody has. You're probably wondering, like, yes, I am 6'7" and super chiseled. So yeah, I mean, I'll just get that one, away right now. But yeah, happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. So there you go.
You can either use the chat if you're too nervous, or show yourself. Use this opportunity to make a new connection, and ask your questions that way.
All the questions. Don't be shy.
Hello, Matt.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. My name is Nicole.
Hi,
And
Nicole.
I just have a quick question. Thank you so much, first of all, for an amazing presentation. I just have a quick question about consistency. So, in terms of, say, for example, you have a business and you want to establish consistency in your personal branding.
Yep.
What are some examples where you can show that consistency? So, one example, for example, that
Yeah.
that I have on the top of my head is like, Instagram pages, things like that. But what are the other channels where you could show that consistency?
Yeah, I think it's like realistically the consistency aspect is in like every single aspect. So I think for sure if it's on social, if it's business related and you want to kind of have your personal brand relate to that, oftentimes I think as entrepreneurs or as business owners, those businesses tend to sort of be a reflection of your own personal brand, right? And so yeah, like I would say in those aspects. But to me, it's the consistency component is like just in every day, right? Like, and I'll say like I have one of my partners in so we have a company called North Elm Construction that I'm a partner in, and he's pretty stoic. He's like a really like stoic kind of guy, and that relates to him and that relates to that company of like building construction. It's like building, it's tough. So that's authentically him, and that business sort of shows those traits as well. Where Keen, I would say that's more myself and I have another partner Lisa in that business, and my wife Stephanie, and I think we're like Keen's a better representation of that. So it's a fun group, it's a fun atmosphere. I'd like to think I'm a fun guy, and that we're fun people, and can absolutely be ridiculous, right? And so. Yeah, I think that it has, a big impact in just being true to you, right? And so it's not putting on airs around certain things. It's just really being consistent to who you are. So that, like, as an example, the Matt that you're getting now should be the Matt that, if you were out, if I saw you out for dinner or at a movie theater, at a hockey game, or whatever that might be, I should be the exact same Matt. And I think that, that's a good thing. So. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. Any other ones?
Question on the chat from Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Who would you say had the most impact and influence on you on your journey?
Oh man, that's a huge one. And so, yeah, for me, I think there's aspects of like both my parents that had impact to me, legitimately like our team, my partners, my wife, family. I found a really, I guess for me, a big part would be different entrepreneurs. So I'm a board member for an organization called EO, which is Entrepreneurs Organization. And so that's like a peer network of entrepreneurs sort of connecting and sharing experiences. That's like, that's played just an absolute huge impact on me, my career, my life as a whole. So that's a really tough one. I think I'm super fortunate and very grateful for all the amazing people that I've had in my life who've had made a big impact for me and helped me to be me and hopefully do great things in community as well. So hope that made sense.
Thank you.
Can I have a question, please?
Yeah. Fire away.
My name is Tony. Thank you, Matt, for the presentation.
You bet.
So my question is, is it possible for you to have a dual branding or a dual personality? So let me explain. So for example,
Yep.
maybe on social media, for example, I have some views that I put forward, but at the same time, I don't really want that to affect the work that I'm doing. And at the same time, too, because you touch on something in terms of your branding should be same across board. So
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that when you get to that, when you find yourself in that box, how do you kind of still navigate you are yourself? Because a lot of time when you're on social media, you just don't want to say something because you feel like, but you really want to let your opinion out. So how do you manage that when it comes to the issue of dual personality? I don't know if you understand my question.
Yeah, like I think for me, so I think I'm really strong about really being consistent to who you are. And so, and I mean, to an extent, I think businesses can have different brands. When it comes to personal branding, for me, you just got to be you. And like I say, I'm unapologetically me. And I think what ends up happening is, so even if I think on the work side of things, if I'm me and interact with people the way that is consistent with me, I think I develop a massive rapport and relationship with the people that are a right fit for us to work with. So, for us, we might not be, right to fit or to work with, organizations who have very different core values. And so I think for me, just being really consistent around my brand, I think, to be honest, has opened lots of doors. And sometimes what happens too is the people that we often think might be more reserved, there are situations where, we get into and me being me has enabled them to sort of relax and let them be them as well. And so, so I don't know, for me, I would just really recommend when it comes to the personal branding of things to just be you, right? Because there's nothing that's fake about you. It's I would encourage you just to be you. So hopefully I'm like, that's a tough question though, but yeah, hopefully that answered it for you.
Right, and Kara has a question. Did you ever have a time when you felt yourself shifting away from your personal brand / values in order to secure a client? For sure. Yeah, for sure. So I think just even in certain situations, I'm going to speak to one situation that isn't so much of a client side, but I'll speak to just in certain lights, and I'll think about, I sort of mentioned about EO, and my impression about sort of coming into EO was like, and so there's 150 entrepreneurs in EO in Edmonton, and the very first time I sort of got accepted to go in, I'm looking around the room and I'm like, holy shit, like this is that guy, and oh my God, that guy owns this business, and like, oh my God, I just have this little business, and who the hell am I to be here? And I had this sort of perception in my mind about really, what a good entrepreneur was. I was sort of looking around the room in certain lights, and I was like, oh my God, and I'm listening to people, and they're talking about all these strategies that they're doing, and they lock themselves into offices and just work on strategy forever. And so I tried that. I thought, okay, for sure, this is what I've got to do. If I want to be a good entrepreneur, I need to like separate myself away and not talk to anybody. So I did that for about, I'll say, 6 months or so. And fortunately, I had actually a client who said to me, and this is his words, not mine, but he pulled me aside and he said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I said, well, like, what are you talking about? And he said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I'm like, well, what do you mean? I'm being a good entrepreneur. I'm working on like, strategies and thinking deeply. And he said, like, that's not you. That is not who you are. That's not what you're about. And so I at first I was like super offended. I was like, what are you talking about? You can't tell me who I am. I went away from that and I really took a lot back. And I kind of reflected and I thought, yeah, you know what? Like, what the hell? Like, I'm going into these areas and I'm doing things that maybe aren't totally me. And I can tell you, I've had lots to give that, to go in and just be me. I have lots to share, and it's a totally opposite angle from maybe other people. And so, I think that
that other entrepreneurs within that organization have appreciated that, like, yeah, maybe, you know, like I am this person, I am ridiculous, I want to talk a lot, I'm not reserved, or, you know, some of these things. And I think that was super freeing for me as well, because I think I strayed from that personal brand and just on this idea of you know, what a good entrepreneur is. And I think I'm a far better one just being me. And I've got lots to bring to the table. So there you go.
Thank you.
You
I
bet.
appreciate that.
No probs. Any other ones?
Don't be afraid, this is a super opportunity.
And like, look at all this time we got. Yeah. Hi.
Hi, I have a question. Thank you so much for delivering the session today. My question was regarding applying the concept of personal branding to larger entities like organizations or perhaps communities or cities.
Yep.
And I just wanted to ask you about whether or not your personal brand or your company's brand is actually a reflection of perhaps other people that are close to you and kind of their core values, and
For
how
sure.
you go about amalgamating that.
Yeah. So yes, absolutely. So I think I'll look at Keen, and I think really realistically, our core values are for sure made up of my own personal core values. Like, we've done some personal core value exercises, and they ultimately come extremely close to all of Keen's core values. And we did the Keen core values kind of as a team, and you know, what sort of happened is I think over the years, because when we did our like first hire and second hire and third hire and, you know, more, is unknowingly we started to bring people that reflected those same core values. And so when we did that as an exercise, like if I look at our you know, everyone within our office, we actually assess them based on our core values. So if we're to hire anybody, we're like doing assessment of like, okay, well, are they dedicated? Are they driven? Are they fun? Do we see like, yes, are they going to be a team player? You know, all of these sort of things, and we're assessing them based on those core values. At one point in time, I'll say, like, I kind of thought when we first did our initial you know, core value exercises with our team. So we were, I don't know, maybe 20 something staff. And I was like, yeah, everybody, let's put in and let's refine it down. And there were certain things in there that probably didn't really resonate with me, but I was trying to be like, okay, it's a team thing. And then ultimately, kind of a few years later, we're like, no, like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Like, that doesn't sit well with me. So we removed them and kind of refined them a bit. So for sure, I would say that my own core values play a big part in kind of like our companies, you know, what we do, how we approach business, the people that we hire, our interactions with people too. You know, what makes us different is largely based on you know, my core values, which in turn have also turned into most, you know, core values with our team. So yeah.
Thank you for that. And I guess my follow-up question would be, as somebody who's like involved in Edmonton's entrepreneurial community, what do you think Edmonton's brand should be?
Oh man!
Considering everything that's happened in like the last, you know, year or so,
what
do you think we should brand ourselves as?
That's a tough one. Okay, so here's my thing around. I should say here's my thing, but that's a super tough question. I don't want to be the guy who's like speaking for Edmonton by any stretch, but you know, I think, you know, so if I think about, there's certain aspects of like our city, and I love our city. I've been here forever. I've never left. You know, to me, we have this sort of dichotomy of like, people are looking at, well, okay, oil and gas we've been an oil and gas town forever, and that's kind of been a part of us. And now we want to transition to be like, we're this really tech focused, you know, sort of city. To me, what I look at is like, Edmonton is a group of like, we're like super hardy, driven innovators. And so, you know, we were innovating on the oil and gas side of things, and now we're going to continue to innovate maybe on the tech side or whatever that is. And so, yeah, I think we're just like a group of like solid problem-solving tech innovators, however you want to look at that. So that's my feeling about it. It's like, it's not industry specific for me. It's just like, this is who we are. We are like amazing people. We do great things. We like bust our ass. We work real hard. We care, all those things. So
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Thank you.
All right, any other ones?
Hello, Matt. This is Katie.
Hi.
And I really get so excited with the topic today, personal branding. I got exposed to personal branding when I was like 16, so. And then it's really fascinating that it's like, like what you're saying is still true to what I learned for the past few years.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify about being you because we have our set of values, beliefs. Would you encourage people to build those values and build those beliefs first before digging into the branding side?
Ooh. Yeah, I think probably. I think, though, I'm going to say this. The reality is that our life transitions. And so, like, your beliefs today and who you are today may have, some variances as you move forward throughout your kind of like career. And that's based on there's so much that like impacts us, right? And so, the experiences that I had, maybe when I started our business are vastly different than the experiences that I have today. And so, I think that's an evolution component. Like I would say like, when it comes to personal branding, I think it's, again, there's some inherent traits that typically we all kind of have, but there's going to be elements that I think will change or shift kind of as experiences change in your life. So I think it would be good to figure out like who you are, what makes you tick, what makes you happy, where you thrive, what you believe in, and that be, your personal brand. But don't be afraid to sort of shift and adjust, I think, as you move down the line. So I don't want to say that like I was vastly different when I was 20, but I'm coming up to 42, yikes, in a few days. There's probably some different things that have changed my life and had a big impact, right? And so that's okay too. So, and I really think about, so oftentimes when we think about life too, lots of people sort of tend to think, okay, well, there's work and then there's life. And the reality is that you don't have two lives. People are always consistently striving for this like work-life balance situation. And that's sort of like, in my mind, it's kind of like some bullshit because it's really, you have one whole life. And so work is a part of that and your personal life is a part of that. Your family is a part of that. I think like, that's going to change and evolve as it goes along. Your personal brand can change and shift a little bit with that. All those things equate to your happiness, right? And so, like for me, for years I felt guilty about working. I love to work. And it was always like a big challenge where, like I'll say, if I put in a 12 or 14-hour day, I felt kind of bad about that with family. But the reality is like, I like freaking love what I do. I should do that more. Like, why would I not want to do the things I love more? And so, I think figure out what that is, build your brand around that, and just, don't have any guilt around it too. So, there you go.
Thank you, Matt. And I just have also a follow-up question that I just got to engage this conversation with friends.
Yeah.
And whenever they got into a career, they always ask my opinion, and that
Yeah.
was good. And I always tell them, stick with your values before you commit to a company and before you build your business. But I'm not quite sure if I've said that right, or what's your opinion about it?
Yeah, to stick to your values. I think like you're gonna find, I think if I worked at a company that had vastly different values than I had, it would be a challenge every day, right? And so, like every day, if it was like, hey, we want you to like step on people, we want you to be an asshole, we want you to do all these things, that wouldn't sit well with me. It wouldn't be a good fit. I wouldn't be happy. And so for me, it's like, yeah, and I think about, yeah, find somewhere, if you're building your career right now or building your business, do it for passion and not for profit. Profit's going to come, right? And that's going to come through, people will pay you for what you are passionate about and what your core values are, versus just like, hey, being a terrible human, I guess. So.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you so much.
You bet. Anyone else?
Hello, I have a question.
Hi.
My name is Sally,
Hi, Sally.
and I really enjoyed your presentation today.
Good.
It will be a simple question. I just wanted to know what was the first thing you developed when you first started to brand yourself, or what would you suggest?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
The first part, I think it is kind of going back to a little bit of that around just kind of finding out as much as you can about you, and even I think just identifying like where, what are situations that may make you happy, because oftentimes, if it's interactions, if it's dealing with people, it's how you are. I think that's a good place to start, right? So just maybe being aware of some of those things. You could try doing some core value exercises, but yeah, I don't know. And truthfully, like I don't know where I started. To be honest, I think it's just sort of been an evolution, right? So yeah, sorry, that's not a good answer. I'm sorry.
It was a good answer. Thank
Oh,
you.
Okay, I think Adnan has a question.
I believe Nicole actually had one before me.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, Adnan, how are you, man?
Good, Matt. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm like thirsting for your chicken, dude. When are you gonna?
You know what? I'll drop it off next week.
Okay, I'm in. Yeah.
Nicole's question, and then I'll get to mine.
Okay.
Nicole, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just sort of wrote it in the chat. Sorry, I was something interrupted me. But anyways, my question was for Matt was if he has any specific favorite resources for personal branding. So, for example, do you have any books or podcasts or people or any sort of online resource that comes to mind?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can share those, that would be really great.
This would be like a super quick one. The short answer is like not really. I sort of mentioned in the thing, but I'm not a detailed person by any stretch. So for me, I'm not a reader as much as I would like to be, but maybe it's not part of my personal brand. So I do lots of learning. So I do that through like Masterclass, or I do it through Blinkist. So there's things like that have, and there's lots of stuff there, on all kinds of topics, just about sort of you, skill sets, business, whatever that would be. I can really simply listen to a Blink in 15 minutes. I can take something away, or I can really like arduously try to go through a book and it take me like 4 years to finish, not remember a thing. And so I'm more of a Blinkist guy, or like YouTube, Masterclass, that type of thing. So
Okay, thank you.
you bet. There you go.
Hello again.
Hey, buddy.
The question that I had was, do you think within young professionals, the idea of personal branding is commonly mistaken?
Is it mistaken?
Yes.
So as that people don't put any energy towards it, or
As
how do you mean?
Just they think when it comes to personal branding that they should be a certain idea. Like they'll see someone that they really
For sure.
like, and then they're like, I want to emulate that person and not focus on building themselves.
For sure. Yeah. So great question. So I do think for sure, like, And it's a bit different probably from from me and from my start. Social media wasn't like a thing, where now it's super strong, right? And so I think it's hard. We're consistently following this I don't know, sort of somewhat of like idealistic bullshit lifestyle, as far as like no one's posting the tough days, the hard things, all of that, right? It's like, oh my God, I'm on a beach and I'm doing the things and I'm at a party that's like so fun and whatever. So yeah, I think it's far more challenging now to, I think, really be to be consistent, for you guys to be authentically you, to not get sort of swayed by like, I need to paint a picture of like this unbelievable lifestyle where, everything is amazing. I'm doing all the, all the things, right? So I think it's far more challenging, I think, now than it was, probably when I was younger. And I think too, that it comes a little bit with age. In that same sort of scenario, I don't know if at 19 or 20, if I was exactly inherently me. I think I've again had to put some energy and work towards just being me, right? And but yeah, I think for sure, I think it's a struggle. But I think that's the component where it's also, there's an opportunity that exists there too, right? And so for me, like when we get applicants, so if every applicant is just, so I'm gonna say like if it's every applicant's like vanilla, like it's just like no one is unique, every single person that applies for us is just like, the same, it feels like the same person, right? Where we get like an outlier, we're like, holy shit, like this person's like weird or wacky or unique. It's really standing out. And so, maybe someone talks about they make amazing chicken and they come by our office and they bring us chicken. Like that's a standout. So anyway, so just saying, anyway, there you go.
Awesome. I'll be there next week with the chicken.
Awesome. So if people don't know, Adnan makes like wicked fried chicken. That's going to be our next business. Is we're going to do a fried. I don't know. Maybe it'll be like Keen fried chicken. That could be that could be it. So, anyways.
Awesome. So Jennifer has a question. How has the name change of your company contributed to its growth? And also, what was the biggest challenge for you faced when you changed the name?
Yeah, actually, so I'm going to relate this back to a story specifically. We were at a Nait event. And so we were at like a Nait event, and we were sitting at a table with a competitor, and so Pure Vision at the time, or previously, we had 13 years of Pure Vision, and we were like a year into Keen, and honestly, so this competitor of ours said like, oh, you're with Keen, oh my, and he was like, oh, okay, wow, crazy, and he's like, I don't know, I never heard of Keen, like I hear about you guys all the time. And for me, it was this thing of, well, I said, well, we used to be called Pure Vision. And his comment was like, oh, I'd never heard of Pure Vision before, but I hear of Keen all the time. And so to me, it was like this big factor, I think, about, us being Keen, sort of, I don't know, it give us like the ability to just be ridiculous, be us, be fun. It's like short. I mean, there are so many, I think, positives around it. It speaks to like us being Keeners, about being passionate and working for clients in that manner. I think it was like a hugely positive thing. It resonated like extremely well with me when we did it. The challenge in it was anything. I mean, there's massive fears around, oh my God, we're going to change the name and no one's going to know who we are, and we're going to lose all this brand awareness. And the reality is we have like significantly more brand awareness as Keen than we ever did kind of as Pure Vision. And so sometimes we will build up things in our mind, but yeah, I think we've been far more successful at being Keen than at being Pure Vision. So there you go.
Awesome. Are there any more questions before we say goodbye?
Good?
Yeah, I think we're good. So I really
Awesome.
want to take this moment to thank you, Matt, and I hope everybody thank you so much for your presentation. I knew it was going to be awesome. You're a rock star.
Oh.
Really appreciate you. I know you're busy, and we really appreciate you taking the time. Katie had to leave it early, as did Nicole, but they put in the chat, thank you so much for the amazing presentation and sharing your time and talent. For our students, just a reminder, our pitch competition deadline to enter is November 15th, and we are giving away $8,000.
What?
Yeah.
$1,000?
Yeah, I know. And on Monday, we have the Art of the Pitch with Joanne Fedeko of Connections Silicon Valley, as well as November 5th, Cultivating an Entrepreneurial Mindset with the League of Innovators. So anybody has any questions about any of this, you've got my email address, and you know how to get a hold of me. I will be sending out a short survey just to get your feedback about today, but I know already it's going to be awesome. So thanks again, everybody, and have an awesome afternoon.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much for the time.
Thanks, Matt.